Stop everything you're doing right now and listen carefully, because what I'm about to show you will haunt you for the rest of your life. Scientists have been hiding these discoveries from the public for decades, and governments worldwide are covering up evidence that could shatter human civilization. Before we dive into these forbidden mysteries, smash that subscribe button if you're brave enough to learn the truth they don't want you to know. What if I told you that ancient Greeks built the world's first computer while your ancestors were still figuring out basic tools? Deep beneath the Mediterranean Sea, a sponge diver made a discovery that would shatter everything we thought we knew about ancient technology. In 1901, off the coast of the Greek island Antikythera, they found something impossible. Corroded and broken, lying among ancient Roman treasures, was a bronze mechanism so advanced that scientists couldn't believe their eyes. They called it the Antikythera Mechanism, but what they found was far more sinister than they imagined. This wasn't just any ancient artifact. It was a machine with over 80 bronze gears, capable of predicting eclipses, tracking planetary movements, and calculating the positions of celestial bodies with terrifying accuracy. The ancient Greeks had created technology that wouldn't be seen again for another 1,500 years. But here's where it gets truly chilling. How did they acquire such knowledge? Some researchers believe this device proves that an advanced civilization existed long before recorded history, one that possessed secrets we're only beginning to understand today. The mechanism's creator remains a ghost in history. No name, no records, just this haunting piece of evidence that suggests our ancestors knew far more about the cosmos than we ever imagined. What happened to this lost knowledge? Why did it vanish for over a millennium? Even more disturbing, what if this isn't the only one? What if there are other impossible artifacts buried beneath our feet, waiting to reveal that everything we know about human civilization is wrong? The Antikythera Mechanism isn't just an ancient computer. It's proof that someone, somewhere in the distant past, was watching the skies with knowledge that defies explanation. High in the Peruvian Andes, beyond the tourist trails of Machu Picchu, lies a secret that the Inca took to their graves. Hidden within the ancient citadel's Temple of the Moon is a doorway that has remained sealed for over 500 years. What lies behind it has become archaeology's most haunting mystery. The door isn't just blocked, it's been deliberately sealed with massive stone blocks, fitted so perfectly that not even a knife blade can slip between them. Local Quechua people whisper that it was closed for a reason, that some things should remain buried forever. But why would the Inca, master builders who created one of the world's most magnificent civilizations, seal away part of their greatest achievement? Ground-penetrating radar has revealed a chamber behind the door, but Peruvian authorities refuse to allow excavation. They claim it's to preserve the site, but locals tell a different story. They speak of ancient curses, of Spanish conquistadors who tried to force the door open and were never seen again. They talk about strange sounds that echo from within the sealed chamber during certain phases of the moon, whispers in a language that died centuries ago. Recent thermal imaging has detected temperature anomalies behind the sealed entrance, suggesting something inside is generating heat. Some researchers believe it could be a burial chamber of an Inca emperor filled with gold beyond imagination. Others think it might contain codices that could rewrite South American history. But the most terrifying theory, that the Inca sealed This door, not to keep people out, but to keep something in. Something they feared so much that they were willing to take its secret to their deaths. What could be so dangerous that an entire civilization chose to bury it forever rather than face? What lies beyond that ancient threshold? December 5th, 1945. 5 Navy torpedo bombers took off from Fort Lauderdale for a routine training mission. They were experienced pilots flying familiar routes over calm seas. 2 hours later, they vanished into thin air, along with the rescue. Planes sent to find them. This was Flight 19, and their disappearance would birth the most terrifying maritime mystery in history. The last transmission from flight leader Charles Taylor still haunts investigators. We are entering white water. Nothing seems right. We don't know where we are. The water is green, no white. We're completely lost. But Flight 19 was just the beginning. In the triangle of ocean between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, over 1,000 ships and planes have vanished without explanation. No wreckage, no distress signals, no survivors. Just empty ocean where vessels and their crews simply cease to exist. The disappearances follow a pattern that defies logic. Compasses spin wildly. Radio communications fail. Electronic instruments malfunction. Witnesses describe a greenish fog that appears from nowhere, swallowing entire ships before vanishing as mysteriously as it came. Christopher Columbus himself reported strange lights and compass anomalies in these waters. Modern satellites have detected massive magnetic disturbances in the region. The ocean floor contains geological formations that shouldn't exist. Perfectly circular craters hundreds of feet deep, as if something massive repeatedly impacts the seabed. But the most terrifying evidence comes from the few survivors. They describe time distortions, missing hours, and encounters with aircraft that vanished decades ago, still flying, still trying to find their way home. Some report seeing the ghostly image of Flight 19, eternally circling in a sky that exists between dimensions. What lurks in the Bermuda Triangle isn't just swallowing ships and planes. It's collecting them, trapping them in a maritime purgatory, where the missing continue their journeys in a reality parallel to our own. In the frozen wilderness of Nome, Alaska, people don't just disappear, they vanish as if they never existed at all. Since the 1960s, over 20,000 residents have gone missing from this remote city, a number so staggering it represents nearly 10 times the town's current population. But the FBI refuses to investigate, and local authorities won't discuss what they've witnessed. The disappearances follow a chilling pattern. Residents report seeing strange lights in the aurora-filled skies, hearing languages that don't exist, and experiencing missing time. Entire families vanish overnight, leaving behind meals still warm on the table and cars running in driveways. But it gets worse. Survivors of attempted abductions describe beings that defy description. Tall, pale entities with large black eyes that seem to see directly into their souls. These witnesses often develop severe psychological trauma, speaking of medical examinations, conducted in sterile white environments that exist somewhere beyond human understanding. Dr. Abigail Tyler, a psychologist who treated many of these cases, documented disturbing evidence before she too disappeared. Her recordings reveal patients speaking in ancient Sumerian during hypnotic regression, recounting experiences that match accounts from around the world. The most terrifying aspect isn't the disappearances themselves, it's the systematic cover-up. Government officials claim the missing simply moved away, but banking records, social security numbers, and identification documents tell a different story. These people didn't relocate. They were erased from existence. Local Inupiat elders speak of visitors from the sky who have been taking their people for generations. They perform ceremonies to ward off the lights, but their ancient protections are failing against entities whose technology makes them seem godlike. What's happening in Nome isn't random. It's systematic, ongoing, and accelerating. Something is harvesting humans from this remote location, and our government knows exactly what's occurring, but chooses to remain silent. In the heart of Ethiopia's Danakil Desert lies a place so alien, so impossibly hostile to life, that scientists believe it's the closest thing to hell on Earth. Welcome to Dallol, where the ground itself is alive with malevolent forces that seem designed to destroy anything that dares to exist. This isn't just a hot spring or volcanic field. Dallol is a hydrothermal nightmare, where temperatures soar above 125 degrees Celsius, and the very air can kill you. The landscape bubbles and hisses with sulfur springs that create formations so bizarre they look like they belong on another planet. Yellow, green, and red mineral deposits create towers and pools that seem to pulse with their own sinister energy. But here's what makes Dallol truly terrifying. Recent discoveries suggest it's not entirely lifeless. Scientists have found microorganisms surviving in conditions that should be impossible for any Earth-based life form. These creatures thrive in acid so potent it can dissolve metal, in temperatures that would instantly kill most known organisms. The local Afar people consider Dallol cursed ground. They speak of spirits that inhabit the sulfur springs, entities that feed on the life force of any creature foolish enough to venture too close. Researchers who've spent extended time in the area report hallucinations, equipment failures, and an overwhelming sense of being watched by something ancient and malevolent. Even more disturbing, satellite imagery shows Dallol is expanding. The hydrothermal activity is increasing, creating new formations that appear overnight. Some geologists believe we're witnessing the birth of something unprecedented, a form of geological consciousness that's actively reshaping the landscape. What if Dallol isn't just a natural phenomenon? What if it's a doorway to something far more sinister? A place where the barriers between dimensions have worn thin, allowing entities from a hellish realm to slowly infiltrate our world through pools of liquid fire. Beneath a man-made mountain in China lies the most dangerous archaeological site on Earth. For over 2,000 years, the tomb of Emperor Qin Huang has remained sealed, protected by booby traps so lethal that they've claimed the lives of every person who's attempted to breach its entrance. This isn't just any burial site. Ancient texts describe an underground palace that spans 38 square miles, complete with flowing rivers of mercury, pearl-studded ceilings representing constellations, and an army of crossbow mechanisms programmed to fire at intruders. But the real horror lies deeper, in what the emperor took with him to the afterlife. Qin Shi Huang was obsessed with immortality and surrounded himself with alchemists who promised eternal life through mercury elixirs. When he died, these same alchemists were buried alive with him, along with thousands of concubines, servants, and craftsmen who knew the tomb's secrets. Their screams, according to historical records, could be heard for days as they suffocated in the sealed chambers. Modern ground-penetrating radar confirms the ancient accounts. The tomb contains massive quantities of liquid mercury, enough to poison an entire city if released. But mercury isn't the only danger. Seismic readings detect complex mechanical systems, still functioning after 2 millennia, waiting to destroy anyone who disturbs the Emperor's eternal rest. The most chilling discovery? Thermal imaging shows temperature variations suggesting something. Inside is generating heat. Experts can't explain what could remain active in a sealed tomb for 2,000 years. Some believe it's residual chemical reactions from the Mercury rivers. Others think it's something far more sinister, that the emperor's quest for immortality succeeded in ways too terrifying to comprehend. What if Huang didn't die? What if he's still down there, sustained by Mercury and dark magic, waiting for someone foolish enough to wake him from his deathless slumber? In the mountains of northeastern India lies a place where rain doesn't just fall. It attacks with supernatural fury. Meghalaya, meaning the abode of clouds, receives over 1,000 inches of rainfall annually. But this isn't ordinary precipitation. This is water with a mind of its own, water that seems determined to wash away everything in its path. The village of Ram holds the world record for rainfall, but locals don't celebrate this distinction. They speak in whispers about the monsoons, about rains that fall upward, and storms that target specific houses while leaving neighbors completely dry. They've witnessed precipitation so intense it carves new valleys overnight and creates waterfalls where none existed the day before. But the most terrifying aspect of Meghalaya's weather isn't the volume, it's the intelligence behind it. Meteorologists can't explain why clouds form in perfect geometric patterns above certain locations, or why rainfall sometimes occurs in waves that seem to follow deliberate patterns across the landscape. The indigenous Khasi people have built living root bridges to survive the deluge, training tree roots over decades to create structures that can withstand the supernatural storms. But they also perform rituals to appease what they call the water spirits, entities they believe control the rain and demand offerings to prevent catastrophic flooding. Recent satellite data reveals something that defies meteorological science. The clouds over Meghalaya don't follow normal weather patterns. They appear from nowhere, hover over specific areas, and dissipate in ways that suggest artificial manipulation. Some researchers believe the region sits atop geological formations that create unique atmospheric conditions, but the Khasi elders tell a different story. They claim their ancestors made a pact with beings from the sky, trading control of the weather for protection from invaders. The rain, they say, is both a blessing and a curse, a reminder that some forces are too powerful for humans to control. Rising from the Utah desert like an army of stone sentinels, the Hoodoos of Bryce Canyon defy every law of geology. These towering rock formations shouldn't exist, yet there they stand, arranged in patterns so perfect, so deliberately organized, that they seem more like monuments built by an intelligence beyond human comprehension. Scientists claim these spires were carved by millions of years of erosion, but their explanations fall apart under scrutiny. How does random weathering create formations that align with celestial events? Why do the Hoodoos form mathematical sequences that mirror patterns found in sacred geometry? The Paiute people knew the truth. They called this place Red Rocks Standing, like men in a bowl-shaped canyon, and they avoided it after dark. According to their legends, the Hoodoos are the petrified remains of an ancient civilization, beings who were turned to stone as punishment for their wickedness. But recent discoveries suggest the Paiute legends might contain terrifying truth. Ground-penetrating radar has revealed vast underground chambers beneath the Hoodoo formations, connected by tunnels that stretch for miles. These aren't natural cave systems. They show evidence of artificial construction, with perfectly circular rooms and corridor networks that follow no known architectural principles. Even more disturbing, seismic equipment detects vibrations emanating from deep within the rock formations. These aren't random geological sounds. They follow patterns, rhythms that some researchers believe might be a form of communication. Visitors report strange phenomena, compasses spinning wildly, electronics malfunctioning, and an overwhelming sense of being watched by thousands of invisible eyes. Some describe hearing whispers carried on the wind, voices speaking in languages that died out millennia ago. What if the Hoodoos aren't just rock formations? What if they're prisons holding something ancient and malevolent that's slowly awakening after eons of stone sleep? Every night in the West Texas desert, near the town of Marfa, mysterious lights dance across the horizon with an intelligence that defies explanation. For over 140 years, these orbs of light have appeared without warning, performed impossible aerial maneuvers, and vanished into the darkness, leaving behind only witnesses whose lives are forever changed by what they've seen. The lights aren't just random phenomena. They're interactive. Wave at them, and they respond. Flash a car's headlights, and they flash back. Point a laser at them, and they seem to play a game of cosmic tag, but approach them, and they retreat, always staying just beyond reach, as if they're studying human behavior from a safe distance. Apache warriors spoke of these lights as spirits of fallen braves, but their accounts describe something far more sinister. They tell of lights that would lead travelers astray, guiding them into the desert where they would disappear forever. Modern missing person reports from the Marfa area show an unusually high number of unsolved disappearances. Scientific expeditions have captured evidence that challenges our understanding of physics. The lights emit electromagnetic signatures. Unlike anything on Earth, they appear on radar as solid objects, but pass through physical barriers as if they don't exist. Most disturbing of all, they seem to anticipate human actions, changing course seconds before aircraft or vehicles attempt to intercept them. Recent analysis of decades of footage reveals a pattern that's truly chilling. The lights are becoming more frequent, more active, and more bold in their interactions with humans. Whatever intelligence controls them is growing confident, as if it's preparing for something. Local ranchers report cattle mutilations in areas where the lights appear. Most frequently, the cuts are impossibly precise, made with technology that doesn't exist in any human arsenal. But the most terrifying discovery: some of the missing cattle reappear days later, alive but changed, with behaviors that suggest they've been subjected to procedures we can't begin to understand. The Marfa lights aren't just a curiosity, they're scouts gathering intelligence about humanity while we watch them with fascination, never realizing we're the ones being studied. From space, the Sahara Desert holds a secret that has puzzled scientists for decades. Scattered across the endless sand dunes are thousands of mysterious dark spots, each one perfectly circular, each one hiding a truth that could change everything we know about our planet's past. These aren't ordinary desert formations. They appear overnight, disappear without warning, and follow patterns that seem almost intelligent. Satellite images show them arranged in configurations that defy natural explanation. Geometric patterns stretching for hundreds of miles, as if something is marking the desert from above. Local Tuareg nomads have known about these spots for generations. They call them the Devil's Footprints and avoid them at all costs. They speak of travelers who investigated the circles and were found days later, wandering the dunes with no memory of what they'd seen. Ground expeditions have revealed the horrifying truth. Each spot marks a perfectly circular area where the sand has been fused into glass, as if subjected to temperatures exceeding 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. But there's no evidence of impact craters, no signs of meteorites or volcanic activity. Even more disturbing, carbon dating shows these formations appear in waves, with clusters forming every 12,000 years throughout history. The most recent wave began just 50 years ago, and the frequency is accelerating. Some researchers believe these spots are evidence of ancient atomic weapons, remnants of a forgotten war that turned lush Saharan grasslands into the wasteland we see today. Others think they're markers left by something not of this world, a pattern of communication we're too primitive to understand. But the most chilling discovery, deep core samples from the center of each spot, contain traces of elements that don't exist naturally on Earth. Whatever created the Sahara's spotted mystery isn't just unknown, it might not even be from here. Which of these 10 mysteries terrified you the most? Drop your ranking in the comments and tell me which one kept you awake at night. If these mind-bending revelations shocked you, smash that subscribe button right now and turn on all notifications. Because I've got even more spine-chilling mysteries that will make these look like bedtime stories. Don't let this be the last time your reality gets shattered. There's a whole world of impossible truths waiting for you.